the State of the Union. How weird was that? I mean, the night opened up with the bizarre spectacle of Jill Biden planting a kiss bang on the lips of Kamala Harris's husband, Douglas Emhoff. I tell you what, the internet had a lot of fun with that, and we'll be looking at some of the best memes later on in the show. But all I want to know right now is just how big a bull do you need to throw in the keys to an entire motorcade? Now, of course, there were the usual Biden fumbles. You could just see his brain freeze when he ran into the alphabet soup of sex and gender identities on his teleprompter.
It's also passed the Bipartisan Equality Act to ensure LGBTQ Americans, especially transgender young people, can live with safety and dignity. LGBT. He got stuck there anyway, rightio. And then there was also the usual weird shouting we associate with Joe Biden. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me one. Name me one.
Name me one. Okay, dude, you've got the talking stick. We can hear you. And, of course, there were the lies, so many of them on everything from the economy to his crude attempts to blame Republicans for the attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband that the New York Post dubbed the president Joe Liden. Again, we're going to dive more into this in a moment with the panel. But in the meantime, I think there's also an important point in all of the coverage of the State of the Union that an awful lot of people have missed. Have a listen to this bit.
We've already created 800,000 new manufacturing jobs without this law, before the law kicks in. With this new law, we're going to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the country. And I mean all across the country, throughout not just the coast, but through the middle of the country as well. That's going to come from companies that have announced more than $300 billion in investment in American manufacturing over the next few years.
Well, great stuff, but think about what just happened there. A Democrat president, one beholden to the progressive left, has gotten up to deliver his State of the Union, and he sounds, well, right there, he sounded, frankly, a bit Trumpian. I mean, what happened to the good old days of free trade and globalization? Back in the 1990s, when Bill Clinton signed America up for NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, this was going to save the world.
I believe we have made a decision now that will permit us to create an economic order in the world that will promote more growth, more equality, better preservation of the environment, and a greater possibility of world peace.
And of course, never forget that Barack Obama said that when Donald Trump criticized NAFTA and said he would bring jobs back to America, well, that just wasn't going to happen without.
When somebody says, like the person you just mentioned, who I'm not going to advertise for, that he's going to bring all these jobs back. Well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do? There's no answer to it. He just says, well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is he doesn't have an answer.
Well, I guess Joe Biden reckons he's found the magic wand, and he wants to bring back jobs to America, just like Trump did. And great, I say, look, that's wonderful, and I hope that that is not as fraudulent a statement as some of the other whoppers in his speech. But consider this, too. Joe Biden wants to run again, God knows why, in 2024, and he knows he can't do that without doing a hard pivot away from the Democrats' free trade globalist consensus. And that's a shift that was put in motion by his great nemesis, Donald Trump. It just goes to show how far the political winds have shifted and how much the old political settlement around free trade and globalization at any mindless price has been discredited. And whatever you think about Trump, that's a pretty big legacy. And if this keeps up, well, who knows? Maybe Joe will go a bit further, be a bit more like Donald Trump. I don't know. Maybe adopt YMCA as his theme song in 2024. I just hope he doesn't try and dance.
to feel